Today we're testing to brew coffee with a cloth filter from Hario. Welcome, my name is Patrick Rolfe and this is Coffee with April. For this video, we're gonna look into what for us is a new way of brewing coffee, but it's actually been around for a very long time. We're gonna be brewing with the Hario Cloth Filter. Now, this is arguably a very famous, well-known way of brewing. Anyone that ever been to Japan, Tokyo, have seen this live most likely. Still, it's a brew method we don't see that often in the professional coffee shop around the world, or even with the home brewer. Most likely, the reason for this is the fact that it is cloth, and cloth is difficult to clean, right? So that's definitely one of the challenges with you. Now, we're gonna give you some tips and tricks on one, how we're brewing with it, and two, also how you could actually maintain and clean it, because it is arguably a difficult thing. Now, what you should think about is after every single brew, what we wanna do is wanna rinse it out completely, directly, as much as we can. And then in between every single brew, what you want to do is you actually want to store it in water. So if you use it very often, put it in a glass or a container covered with water. When you clean it, put it in the fridge and keep it there. Basically, if you want to use it over a long period of time, you maybe use it once a month and not more often. One idea could actually be to put it in a plastic bag and just freeze it down and then take it out. And this is gonna actually help you keep it cleaner, perhaps not 100% clean, but cleaner, and allow you to actually brew with it time and time again. Apart from that, we've tested a few other versions. We researched and we know there's a few other options. Some of them are using some different kinds of chemicals to clean it, but we're not super happy with that idea because we don't like the idea of brewing coffee with it after we've used any kind of chemicals with it. But if you have any recommendations or thoughts on it, please comment on this video so we learn something new as well. Now, when it comes to brewing, this is how we do it. Now, most of you that's seen this device have also seen the kind of server or kettle from Hario that comes with it. Now, we actually prefer going really old school, so we're just gonna do a handheld brew for the duration of the brew, basically. Now, it goes without saying that if you do this, you have to pre-weigh your water because there's no way for you to actually know how much water you're pouring on otherwise. Now, to make this a bit easier for us, we have one, actually pre-weighed the water, and two, we're using a scale underneath, which is gonna help us reference basically the beverage weight throughout the brew, as well as timing the pouring that we're doing. Now, when it comes to coffee, in this case, we're using 12 grams of a carbonic macerated Ethiopian coffee, one of our limited coffees from Congo, processed via product origin. We're grinding this fairly coarse, as we usually do, which on a Camadenta will be around 25 clicks here. Now, it is a cloth filter, so we're having basically a slightly faster flow rate than what a paper filter would be, but we're having a slower flow rate than what, for example, a metal filter would be, right? So we're trying to find our grind size somewhere in between. We're pouring a total of 200 grams of water, and the water sits at 94 degrees Celsius. So the idea behind the brewing is that we're gonna start by basically saturating the coffee. So we're not actually using the weight for the initial part of the pour. I'm just pouring, making sure that all of that coffee is wet. That's the most important part. Once that is done, I'm gonna let it sit for 30 seconds, just to make sure that all of that coffee gets wet and the filter is ready for the kind of second part of the brew. Now, part of what is interesting with this paper filter in particularly is that if you use a metal filter, you're gonna have a lot of coffee still actually going through, so you will have particles in the finished beverage. When you use a paper filter, you're actually filtering out all of that, right? Now, when it comes to a cloth filter, you end up somewhere in between. So basically what's happening is that you have a much cleaner cup than a metal filter, but you allow for a bit more oils to go through than what a paper filter would. So with this in mind, it's actually very suitable for a lighter roasty cup of coffee, because what you're getting is a coffee with a bit more structure, a bit more body, perhaps even a bit more sweetness than what you would otherwise. So that's actually partially why we think it's a kind of an interesting way to brew. Now, it goes without saying that this is perhaps not the most practical way of brewing, but when you go old school, we kind of prefer to go all the way old school. And there is a ceremonial aspect of this which we actually really enjoy, which is also part of why we're brewing directly into the cup instead of using the server that comes with it. Now, as you can see, it's a small continuous pour that will take us a total of 1 minute and 50 seconds to complete. And after that, we're basically done pouring, and we're just gonna let that water go through. Now, for those of you that are very nerdy and experienced brewers, you're gonna say that, well, we're shaking the filter continuously, which we are, because it's quite hard to keep that filter stable throughout the whole brew. But that slight level of agitation makes a very minor difference. And if anything, it actually helps us getting a flat bed in the end of the brew, which is interesting. Now, everything has gone through. Our total brew time here is 2 minutes and 20 seconds. And then we're basically done. It's not much more complicated. Now, what we get here, which we really enjoy, is a taste experience with a coffee that is very sweet. You have a bit of added body to it when it comes to the brew method, which again allows us to work with a lighter roasted coffee and still make sure we have a really, really good balance and structure to it. Is it producing a better cup than a paper filter? Not necessarily. Is it producing a better cup than a metal filter? Yes, for sure. Is it producing a good enough cup to go through the cleaning process continuously? Questionable. I'm still not sure. It is a lot of cleaning. It takes a lot of time. And even though it brews a good cup of coffee, it doesn't necessarily brew an amazing cup of coffee. However, it looks great. And there's something really interesting with the process of it. So for example, bringing it up to a competition on stage would be really interesting. So overall, we're into it. It's not the most convenient way to brew coffee, but it's not always about convenience. It takes us back to the kind of roots and the rituals of brewing coffee that at least historically has been very important. And that's something that we like to kind of reconnect to. So overall, we actually think this is kind of a fun way to brew coffee. It's something everyone should try if you haven't tried it before. And yeah, with that, we basically want your opinion on it. What's your thoughts? Have you brewed with a cloth filter before? What's the kind of do's and don'ts that you have experienced? As always, we're gonna take this discussion to our Patreon account as well. We're gonna do some more test brewing there, some more discussions there. So that's where you get all the in-depth knowledge of what we do here in terms of brewing. With that, we want to thank you for watching, and we highly recommend to actually try brewing with a cloth filter, because it's a fun thing and it's something that we don't do every single day. Thank you for watching. We want to give a special thank you to all of our Patreon supporters. It's because of you that we are able to continue to make these videos. And we want you all to feel free to always come with suggestions and ideas on the content that you want to see, because we are doing this for you and because of you. Thank you from all of us here at April.